to get on, and this is what I normally like waiting for people to get on for stream. So basically, we're just waiting for people to get on. If they don't, the stream will be cancelled until people can get on. If or not, people do not come on, I will cancel the stream, and you probably will see this live stream go up, and yeah. I know people are probably done like school and everything, like done for the day. But if I don't get people to, join the live stream now or later, I might just end the stream and I'll try again like another like maybe in June or something like that. But yeah. So we're just waiting for people to get on, and then we'll start going through my OC the backstories. I don't know who to start with. I might start with Matilda, or yeah, I might start with Matilda. So, I'm trying to think here. I might start with Matilda. Does that sound good? We start with Matilda, because she's kind of the main one, and then we work from like Hydrus and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Matilda's life is kind of, I wouldn't say weird, but out of the ordinary for some normal dragons. Like, for starters, she is a hybrid. She is a, what I like to call a kind of multitask hybrid. She is a Night Fury, Ringwing, and Stormcutter hybrid. So she's kind of got both of the features from there, and yeah. But basically, when she was born, her best friend Atlantis was born around the same time. So they're kind of born buddies, if that's kind of the right word. They're basically born around the same time. And yeah. But basically, she is a princess. Basically, her entire story starts basically when her parents basically. She was at the time where it was before, like in the timeline of Undertale, before the human war even. Humans and monsters war. Sorry, I'm moving my blanket because I'm kind of sweating. But basically, it is kind of before the humans and monsters went to war. The reason they went to war was because of the dragons. They didn't want to work with them. So the dragons kind of rebelled against the humans because, yeah, stuff like that. But so she was born at a very young age and everything like that. But basically, just taking a look at something real quick. Yeah, okay. But basically, she wasn't always an outgoing dragon, even at a young age and everything. So I'm just changing my hand position because it's kind of hurting in this thing. But basically, she is very outgoing, very friendly, very strong, very just, well, gorgeous dragon after all. But basically, Matilda is what they call a god dragon, and basically, if we're going through the scene of How to Train a Dragon, basically every dragon was mixed with Night Fury and well, Stormcutter, but Stormcutter is kind of a like religious or what's it called, recessive gene, so it's kind of rare for it to even happen. This is This is a Solitaire. He's one of my dragon puppets. Or if we talk about who we're talking about Matilda. But basically, she's basically so it's basically really rare for a dragon of any kind of thing. It's like 1 in a million chance of it to have 4 wings. Sorry, I'm getting. This is a kind of a stream to celebrate me getting a 1,000 subscribers. So we're doing that by going into the backstories of all 4 of my like dragons backstories. Right now we're talking about Matilda's. But basically, she is basically one of the rarest dragons. She's known as a god dragon. So basically, she kind of had a lot more, like, if we're talking about dragon souls, like, they have a lot of determination, they have, like, a lot of love and other stuff. But their main thing are love and then small. But love and then love and then a love and then love and then determination. But basically, she is a very rare species of dragon. But basically, sorry, if I go like blank for a little bit, it's just because I'm trying to think of something or my mind just goes out the freaking gate. I do that from time to time. I don't know why. I just stop over something and then just stare off into space. But I'm trying to make this stream as. Sorry, I heard my brother enter his room. If you could hear that, I'm sorry. His door is like really squeaky. Sound like someone stepped on the freaking. Like, ice container or something. But yeah. Sorry, scratching. But yeah. Yeah. But basically, for a regular dragon soul, it basically is just like 100% determination and 100% determination. But basically, they both, like, for like a god dragon, it's actually double that. So, and they also like alike too. So with Matilda, she's able to do a lot more magic than regular dragons can. But basically, I'm gonna like jump around a little bit because yeah. But basically, Matilda is kind of a I don't know how to say this. She's kind of a rebel in some way. Like basically, she is basically a out of the blue. I don't know what that was, but Matilda is kind of a hello. Thank you for joining the stream. But basically, and I was getting back to what I was saying, Matilda is kind of a special dragon in some way by like her soul, her stats, and all that stuff. But if we're getting into her backstory and everything, how she got her scars was actually from her brother. Her brother. This was like after the war between humans and yada yada and all that stuff. Her parents and everything like that have what they call a coronation or like kind of a. If I had to put this in another script, English is hard today. I cannot English today. But basically, it's kind of a way for them to figure out if they're good as king or whatever the dealio is. Yes. She did fight back, but we'll get to that in a second. But basically, the reason why her brother attacked her was basically because he wanted to be queen. I mean, not queen, king. But her parents decided that Matilda was a better fit. Which, keep in mind that Matilda does not even want the position. Which her parents understand that. So, way her brother attacked her was that in the middle of the night, she was outside on her balcony, and she heard her brother come in the room, so she asked him what he wanted, and he kind of jumped attacked her. And then basically when she swung around really quickly to kind of pin him down, she was able to kind of, get that kind of distinguisher, like kind of scratch mark on her neck. I mean, not on her neck, on her eye. And the bite wound was actually from him grabbing her and throwing her. That's how she lost her tooth. If you notice that she has a gold tooth, that is how she lost her tooth. She lost her tooth from being thrown against the wall. But she was able to do a lot of damage to her brother. So she did fight back, it's just that she wasn't as equipped enough from it. She was just going off what things she had in her room. She was able to escape, and when her parents found out about them two fighting, they were separated, so her brother gave, her father, which his name is Bullet, which is, the king of all dragons. But basically, he um, gave, Drake, which is her name of her brother, a warning. So if that happens again, if he tries to attack his sister again, he will, be exiled from the kingdom, which he does do again. He tries to kill her again by the tree. Because his association is thinking, okay, if I kill my sister, I would have the right to the throne. Which, that would probably never happen. So I have to put my arm down a sec, because I've been holding this up for a couple minutes. Anyway, so he did attack her again, so he was exiled again, and all that stuff. But a few years later, like maybe like after she fell down to the underground and met, Sans, Virus, and all that kind of stuff, she basically was like and how she got her burn mark on her eye, she basically was protecting Undyne and Alphys. Because she had a really good sense to tell what's dangerous or not. So she was able to sense her brother from miles away. And basically what happened was her brother was out of her view, so she couldn't see. So her brother was able to pin him down. And so basically he pinned her down. That's how you see the claw marks on her neck and on her face. Those claw marks are basically from him pinning her down. So he was able to burn her eye out. She was still legit. Once she was able to get him off, she was able to get basically her her eye was still very blurry. She barely could see out of that one eye, but she was still able to finish him off and kind of scare him away. She'd never really able to kill him until like very far, but I won't spoil it too much because I do plan on making a stop motion animation about series about it. But that might be in a very far future because I need to save up money. I need for animations and yeah, all the stuff I need for like it. So yeah, but basically, I'm gonna jump kind of back a little bit for her, like to let you know what kind of trauma she's been through. So since like the first incident and everything, she's also been like bullied and like all that other stuff because they all like because all the parents and there's now dragons were like, oh, she's a god dragon, she's like the strongest dragon ever. But at the time, she really didn't know how to fight too much. So basically, she was bullied a lot. She was, she got into a lots of fights, which kind of, sent her under balance and everything. And then after the first attack, her brother actually cursed her with kind of I'm gonna say kind of a demon, but he was a demon in training. So he'd kind of decide if he's gonna be a good demon or a bad demon or, that kind of thing. So technically, she has two demons. One that's in training, and then one that's fully trained and ready to attack. And the one thing that Matilda kind of she doesn't like to really talk about too much, but is what we like to call the accident. Basically, where she was getting bullied, and so basically she didn't really want to fight them, but then she was getting really mad and everything, and she could hear her demon talk to her, which she tried to ignore them. And then, before you knew it, her paws and her face was covered in blood. She doesn't remember anything what happened to it. It's like she kind of just blacked out right then and there. And so she hid in the room for, I want to say, 5-6 months because she couldn't handle the grief of being, of being that kind of princess and thinking that she's a true monster, which she's not. But basically, Matilda is a very, how would I say this, interesting dragon, but she's still the sweetest dragon ever. I mean, through all the stuff she's been through, she's still the sweetest thing ever. But basically, after Matilda, I'm gonna say, basically locked herself in a room, she's been getting letters calling her out, calling her a monster, that she shouldn't even be alive anymore. She should be in jail for what she did to those kids. But she had no control over it. And her parents are trying to tell people that, but they don't seem to want to budge. But yeah, it's just kind of a theme where, like, okay, how can we get people to open up to Matilda and get kind of a hold of her and everything like that? But she basically is just trying to get through life and trying to figure out who she is, basically. But She's trying her best. She's, getting through stuff. And she used her cloak to actually hide her scars on her back. That's why you don't really see her back too much, because she's hiding her scars. Because it's kind of making her feel like something that she really isn't. So, now we're going back to the first attack. After that first attack, her father, Bullet, basically wanted to make sure that his daughter was going to, be able to fight as well as he does. Because she is not even married yet. She don't even have a prince yet. But basically, him and Mitola basically go to their training ground, which is like the courtyard and everything in the castle. They basically will they basically are going to he's basically going to sit there and train her to make sure she's good at fighting and make sure she knows a lot of magic that she would possibly need for fighting her brother. But yeah. So she basically has been like every single time her father has a chance to work with her, he does. He does work with her. He does, that's how she became so good. And going back into her path a little bit. Matilda, if you notice, is 515, I think? I don't remember what her that age is, but she's somewhere around there. Which, if you keep in mind, and if you are familiar with Dreamtail, that's the same age at like a little bit younger at the Dreamtail brothers. That is because Matilda was actually there. She was the whole reason for protecting Nightmare. After she couldn't protect him anymore, she basically wanted to after the whole thing when he became corrupted, basically, she had nowhere else to go. She didn't know if she could trust Nightmare after. Because think of this kid who you protected basically half your freaking life. And you don't even know if you can keep him protected. And you don't know if he's going to kill you or what. But basically, she basically just fled. It wasn't out of, like, ignorance or out of stupidity or something like that, or carelessness. She knew that if she stood there, she could possibly be killed. She did Soul Dream get turned into stone. But basically, Matilda does really care for all of her friends. And it's been years. Like, Nightmare was only 8 when Matilda was only 1 year old in dragon years, which is about 21, I want to say. This is like a made up thing, but it's like 21 basically in human years. So yeah, the first 21 years of dragon's life is, yeah. But she does care a lot about her friend. It's just the fact that she tried her best. She knows what people have been through. That's why when she first became part of the Bad Santas, they were all iffy at first because it's a female and it's a beast or a dragon, so they weren't really sure how they would react. I think the first one to probably open up will probably be Dust. Dust was the first one to open up because Matilda has this power where she can sense people's like negativity and kind of their path just by looking into their eyes. it's kind of like her kind of way of seeing how people are and if they're telling the truth or not, or something like that. But that's the thing. Matilda does basically have a lot of powers. She does carry a saddlebag here and there, but what she always carries in her saddlebag is her sorry, I got an itch. That probably sounded lovely, but basically, she basically what should I call it? She basically was a she basically was like telling like them like it's okay. I've been through hell and back, just like you guys. So yeah, the way they actually found Matilda was actually I'm trying to think real quick because I have wrote it down, but I don't feel like finding that paper. But basically, Horror, Dust, and Killer basically were chasing a human into an alley, and then they heard a whole bunch of roaring from, let's just say, an alleyway. And when they looked up, they only saw with her eyes that amber orangey kind of color eye, and that red eye staring back at them, along with just a hand peeking out of the shadow. But they could see her moving in the shadow, and as soon as they saw her kind of flee, as soon as they saw her kind of move forward, that's when they kind of backed away from her. But basically, Matilda basically was just a very curious animal. And when they told Nightmare, Nightmare didn't believe them, of course, because he hasn't seen dragons for almost 500 years? Yeah, 500 years. He's not seen a single dragon for 500 years. But she she tries, like, the other reason why Nightmare hired her was just because she was just an all-around good fighter. I mean, she could use bows, guns, and etc., like all different kinds of weapons. And with her skills and her magic and everything, it can really help them and everything like that. But I think we're gonna move on from Matilda's backstory because you kind of got the gist of it, and we're gonna move on to someone else's. I'm trying to think, who will be a good one? I mean, I really don't have a backstory for Splash or Mistfire, so I guess we're gonna go for I'm trying to think, Hydrusis. Well, Hydrus was kind of born in kind of a terrible situation right from the beginning, because her mother really didn't care for her. I mean, all she wanted was male dragons to be wrapped by her, because she felt like having more males would basically protect her more than a female would. So she basically was neglected, starved, and left to die until the queen showed up. And basically, the queen asked her mother why she dumped her, and she told them the same reason. So the queen basically took her in, and she gave her the name Hydrus. Hydrus didn't even have a name when she was born. But she tries to, that's why she's always like trying to be like, she's trying to do the best, trying to make sure that she fits in with everybody, because of she wasn't really all she knew was to run errands for people. But when she fell down into the underground, she kind of she kind of changed the entire life. The reason why she fell down the underground was because out of hunters. Hunters were really something that her queen mother kind of told her to avoid, because she was young. They would take her and yada yada. But so she heard gunshots in the distance, so she ran, fell down to very sweet, but also she could like sent like suicides at people and everything, but she was mainly trying to protect herself constantly, because all she knew what to do. So basically, Hydrus basically was just, how do I put this? So I'm gonna get a drink real quick. That sounds lovely. Yeah, she is basically going to. Yeah, basically, she was basically going to But basically, she's just trying to do her best, trying to keep herself and everything like that really like safe and everything throughout Underfell. Cause her parents did tell her that if you go underneath, you may never come back alive. Kind of thing, you know. I'm not good at riddles, so cut me some slack. But basically, she basically tries to keep herself busy most of the time, trying to. So as she's moving through the undergrounds of the thing, she meets the Underfell Torio. So basically, she was able to defend herself and everything because of her quick movements and all that stuff. It's when she gets to Snowdin that's kind of the problem. When she gets to Snowdin, Underfell Snowdin, she basically was attacked by the dogs. That's how she got her scars and lost her tail fin. Hydra lost her tail fin due to an axe of the dogs. One of the dog arrested the dog. Amy cut off one of her tail fins, preventing her from flying. And so Felparth did hear her roar, and of course, he was really confused because he never heard anything do that kind of roar. And then, like a few, moments later, he kind of, he can hear it again, but basically, Hydra basically defended off the dogs so much so the dogs were scared of her. But she, of course, as you see, she's covered in scratches, she's covered in scars, and same with her tail, she also has that same axe cut right on her eye. I'm not good at left and right. I'm dyslexic, so you guys know which one it is, because you guys probably seen the drawings. But basically, she basically, as soon as she saw Phil Purse like coming through the thing, she was also covered in blood. But basically, what Phil Purse saw was basically just trail of blood. So he followed it, and he basically saw her in the snow, just laying down because she's so weak from loss of blood. Because also she was in the cold for very long, and she wasn't really like she had her cloak and everything on, but it was kind of teared a little bit and damaged a little bit. So she kind of, really was kind of just scared of being around people. Anything that looked like a people, she was scared of. But she's kind of, if I had to be like a real like true thing, she is kind of like the opposite of Matilda in the underground. Matilda was trying to hide her powers and trying to be nice to everybody, while Hydra was trying to hide her kindness and show more strength and seriousness. But yeah, she basically was just trying to keep herself happy and trying to keep everyone there just trusting her. She didn't want to be let down. But anyway, back to the story. When she was able to, once Papyrus found her in the snow, she tried to run, but she was too weak to move. So Papyrus was able to, like, kind of lift her up enough so she can walk and let her into the house, which where the couch was at that corner, that's where she basically stayed for 3 months. She stayed there for 3 to 4 months, I want to say. Sorry, I'm changing up a bit because I haven't fully written it down yet. But basically, Hydra basically hid there as for safety. So basically, Pyrus, my Pyrus thinks like he's all tough when he leaves like outside of the he's all tough and everything when he leaves the house, but he's actually a sweet soul on the like when he's not like talking to Undyne or something like that. He's just like a really sweet soul. And I wish more people would join. But that's not gonna happen. At least it is. But yeah. So he kind of wraps up her wounds and everything like that. She's still timid from fighting the dogs and everything like that. So she really doesn't trust Pyrus yet. But she's making her way around and everything like that. But basically, she doesn't say anything for 2.5 months. For that 2.5 months, she just sits there and monitors Phil Sands and Phil Papyrus. She just monitors them back and forth, day in, day out. They offer her food, but she don't eat it until she basically knows they're gone. That's when she normally, eats and all that stuff. She's a lot more, when they're like asleep, she's a lot more aware. And not really aware, but more active. Is, I think, I'm gonna turn this light real quick because it's kind of getting dark. That better? Probably not. I don't know. But it's getting dark in here because it's like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 o'clock. But basically, I'm getting off a little topic here, but as you know, my house is great. But basically, she is going to so the reason why she kind of gets closer to them and interacts with them was because they wanted to know her name. So she said her name is Hydrus, which Parth loves that name because it makes her feel tough, scary, and all that stuff. So Hydrus basically stays in that spot for a long time. For that third month, she was sleeping in the middle of the night when she heard whimpering up from Santa's bedroom. Being the caring dragon that she is and curious, she goes up there, but she kind of hesitates because Santa's door is like cracked open, so you can kind of see her creeping around the door, and you can see like kind of a light glimmering through the bedroom of Santa. So she pokes her head in and looks around and finds him kind of on the floor, on his mattress basically, kind of whimpering asleep. So she kind of pops her head back out into the hallway, kind of behind her, to make sure that he's still asleep and he's still staying asleep. So once he basically goes to basically when she basically comes to the conclusion that he's not gonna wake up, she decides to head into his room. Because, so you can kind of see her kind of creeping her way into the bedroom. Slowly and steadily. And keep in mind, she does not even have her prosthetic tail yet. But basically, she basically just sneaks her way into the bedroom. Slowly and quietly through the bedroom. When she gets up the stairs, she kind of, how do I put this? She basically just she kind of just like this. She kind of just breathes onto his like. She kind of just like sniffs him for a little bit, and then kind of just rests her paw on him. Kind of ensuring that he's gonna be okay, he's gonna be fine, and so much so that she actually ended up sleeping with him and cuddling up with him in the bed to keep him safe. In the morning, of course, Velpart couldn't find her, so he chucked her in the bedroom, and there she was sleeping away. So I'm gonna fast forward like a couple months there, basically after they've been free by Frisk. But basically, when she was in the underground, Hydra's position was to basically protect Sans. Because Papyrus was thinking, okay, if, you know, if Sans can't protect himself all the time, I can have a dragon who will protect him all the time. So basically, that was basically her role. She would constantly follow Sans everywhere. I mean, Sans would, if Sans was, like, if Matilda wasn't far, or not Matilda, Hydra, if Hydra wasn't able to be found, you could find where Sans was. And this goes for both of Matilda and Hydras. They both stayed close to their relatively Sans. Because Matilda is from regular Undertale, she hides in, she stays with classic Sans. While, Hydra stays with Underfell Sans, or Red or Vel, whatever you guys call him. I mix-max them, so one moment I say Red, one moment I say Vel, it's the same person, alright? But basically, they just keep each other busy and all that stuff. So, Tailfin, alright? I mean, not Matilda. Hydra says Tailfin. So, this was after they escaped the underground and all that stuff. Hydra really wanted to fly because there was a lot more up space for her. There was, she was watching the birds fly and she really wanted to fly again. Every single time she'd try, she would end up back on the ground less than 2 seconds later. But basically, she wanted to, she basically just wanted to, try to fly again after being in the underground for 2 years? No, a year. About a year in the underground. Actually, no, it'll be 2 years. Yeah, 2 years in the underground. But basically, she didn't needed a reason to fly down the underground because it was all one level. So, Phil Parth kind of noticed when she was basically trying to fly. And she kept looking at her tail fin. So he asked Meowfish, which is not the canon one. But my thing of Alphys is that she's kind of crazy, not insane crazy. Like, she kind of like the bridge of it. Like, she's not like really early on, basically, I'm trying to say. So they basically so Phil Parks asked her to make a tail fin for her to see if that would help her, you know, and fly away. So for that next like 5, 6, maybe even a week, she was working on the tail fin. They had a diagram of her and everything like that. So basically, she was basically trying to make one that would be comfortable for her. So once it was done, she gave it to Papyrus, and Papyrus hooked it up to Matilda. Not Matilda, Hydrus. But basically hooked up the prosthetic tail to Hydrus. So Hydrus basically had a prosthetic tail. She first had to, take a feel of it, figure out how it works and everything. And this is the one where she has two different ones. One with the saddle, one without. This one without the saddle. So once she feel of it and figured out how it worked and everything like that, she basically wanted to so she was basically, you can see her lifting up her 4 massive wings, and then she took off. They didn't see her for about 2 days, about a week. They did not see Hydrus for over a week. And they were starting to get worried. They were saying that she got lost or was kidnapped or something like that. Turned out she went back to see her mother before heading back to them. But yeah. And her collar and her chain necklace were actually gifts from Papyrus and Falthin, which I feel like after this stream goes up, there's gonna be a lot of comments, a lot of animations, and all that stuff. Which if you do, please tag me. I love animations, especially like Undertale and all that stuff. Just keep in mind, if you want to know what I like, just read the description. Everything I like there is there. And there's something that I don't have on there. They haven't updated a lot. But basically, that is basically sorry if you can hear buses outside. I live like right next to a school. So not just my school. Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting off sidetracked. But she basically just tries to keep herself entertained, busy, and all that. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm speaking just gibberish. But basically, Matilda just tries to keep herself entertained and all that stuff. So yeah, basically Matilda just so if I had to do them with like different characters, I would have to give Hydrus to, if you watch the Underside, always very regal, always happy and all that stuff. Well, Matilda's kind of like Thomas because she's the original. She's the best, and then Splash is like Patton's kind of personality, and you can guess who Miss Fires is Logan's. So yeah. Sorry about writing about other stuff, but that's basically what their personalities are like. If I had to be truly honest. But basically, Splash and Misfire I can just like wrap up in like, I don't know, a couple minutes. I'm just taking a look here. I'm only gonna stream for about an hour because there's no one here. I'm thinking about maybe if I do one for like, I don't know, a million subscribers, maybe some people will join. Or if you guys want me to, I will stream some other time. Maybe I'll do like a stream with like one of my friends. But I do have a YouTube friend, which her channel name is Sassy Angel LPS, or something like that. She is my friend. If you probably blow up her channel and say do a stream with, with me, with do a stream with Matilda Dragon. Maybe she'll actually, stream with me. You can't even want to, but it's like, what if I'm fixing my pants because it's like all the way up to my freaking ribs. And I have really bad, like, scoliosis and all that stuff. Got a lot of health problems with me. But, yeah. She basically is. So, Splash and Misfire. We'll start with Misfire? Misfire were with like born and raised basically in the anti-void, but a different part of it with like other like air dragons kind of a way. So she basically was just born and raised up there. She didn't meet air until until she was like maybe like I don't really know. I don't think I ever gave an age to to Misfire, but if I had to give her an age, I would have to say 300 years old. So she didn't meet him until she was about 100 years old. So she really hasn't known him that long, which technically it is a long time, but she had known him for a while. So just like the correspondent, this is going for like both of them, but basically for Splash and Misfire, their souls are kind of, which are the crystals. The crystals are kind of like keep track of their souls and everything like that. Keep track of their souls and all that stuff. They don't have souls because theirs are white and glitched down. That tells you that they can't even track their soul. They don't have any. But yeah, it took a while for him to shut the door. But basically, she basically just keeps her So they basically just stay in their own thing. Like for example, Splash lives in the dual sphere. They didn't meet each other until after, they've partnered up with Ink and Air. Their relationship was really like they loved each other at first sight, but they kind of both shrugged it off, thinking, okay, this can't be happening. I'm supposed to be the big old powerful scary dragon. I'm supposed to destroy universes. So basically, when Misfire met Air, it was more of just Misfire had to move more toward him. But basically, what happened was she laid next to his beanbag chair and just laid there and just fell asleep. Aaron was just kind of confused and just reached out and started petting her. Which is the cutest thing. Never loved someone if they animated that. But anyway. But basically, she basically, so she kind of just stayed with him and worked with him for the rest of her life, which is forever, kind of in that way. Well, While a splash is kind of just, you know, well, a splash is basically Ink was the one who kind of wanted to meet her firsthand and everything like that. Liked her tale, wanted to teach her some powers and everything like that, and fell in love with her. Not like relationship love. Please don't ship Flash and Ink. I mean, you could because they're opposite genders, but the canon one is yeah, there is canon ships in this my EU, which is called Golden Dragon or Golden Tail, whatever you prefer. But basically, the canon ones are Splash Mistfire and Horror, Nightmare, and Matilda. Yes, all three. Yes, all three of them are one ship. I did not stutter. They're both one ship. This might be the first Canadian triple ship. Can't English today, maybe because I'm tired. So I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning. But I just want to get this done because this is my first stream and I'm a nervous wreck. Can you tell? I feel like after the stream goes up, it's just gonna blow up. I feel it. But anyway. So splashing them basically just try to keep each other, busy and all that stuff. I would say that this would be a Q&A too, but since there's nobody in the freaking thing, if somehow in some way I do get, full of recommends and Q&As and all that stuff, and people ask, oh, do more streams, do a Q&A stream. I will. But I just really want more people to pop in the stream, which is probably not going to happen. Anyway. But yeah, that's the whole dealio with Splash and Mistfire. And people always say that Mistfire looks like an Aero, like if Aero Sans was a dragon. She is totally different. First of all, Aero Sans does not have red claws. And her paws are fully black. And Aero Sans has blue face markings, while she has yellow. That was the whole point. Cause I was like, okay, I'll stick with the color scheme and everything like that. So I chose yellow. I could have chosen any other color. But I chose yellow to stay on the freaking theme. Cause I like themes. So don't keep blabbing about that. But she basically, but basically splashing the relationship slowly. They started as enemies and slowly, like, the reason why they couldn't really expand the relationship was because of Ink and Air. Once Ink and Air found out that they were trying to, have a relationship and everything like that, and they were just blowing their relationship right out of the water because they had to fight each other constantly, they decided to have a peace treaty between each other so that way they could have a, kind of like a truth that kind of, fits in the whole other things like that. But basically, that basically was just a way for them to spend a lot of time together, have anything. So yeah, I'm going to stop the stream because I'm sorry, my back hurts and no one wants to freaking join. Sad face. So I'm gonna end stream and see all you beautiful people later. I hope you enjoy all the rest of my content, and bye.